So, this must be what happens when I miss a few days. Because obviously, the two videos that I released today, besides our update video, dealt with stories that happened either last Friday or over the weekend. And I just really had some thoughts I wanted to say on it. But this story is fresh, brand new, just came out today. And it comes from DualShockers. And it deals with the Final Fantasy 15 coming to Nintendo Switch. Now, we had a video we posted up either last week or the week before saying that Final Fantasy 15 is coming to Nintendo Switch. And this interview definitely that DualShockers did with director Hajime Tabata, I probably butchered that name, definitely heavily suggests or essentially confirms that some version of Final Fantasy 15 is coming to Nintendo Switch. Here is what the article says, the interview, etc. The interview was actually done by Jordan Loeffer, and they kind of transcribed it here on the site. So here's what it says. A few days ago during a live stream from Gamescom, Final Fantasy 15 director Hajime Tabata teased what appeared to be a possible Nintendo Switch version of the game. And that's what we reported on. Since the tease was rather vague and quite a bit tongue-in-cheek, DualShockers asked Tabata-san to clarify whether a port is actually coming or not during an interview today at PAX West. Tabata-san explained that nothing has been decided yet. The development team is testing out what kind of specs the Switch can provide. They tried to test the Luminous engine, which is the engine powering the game on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on the platform. And they figured out at this point in time the team can't bring out the most of the engine on Switch. For the time being, they stopped there. But they're still looking into the Switch to see what they can do on it. Tabata-san then clarified that this isn't to say anything negative about the Switch, as the team did not do any specific optimization to the Luminous engine for Nintendo's console. They simply loaded it in to see how it will perform. They also made tests on Unity and Unreal Engine 4, and they noticed that those obviously ran pretty well on Switch. The team is at a point in which they understand the technical specifications of the Switch, and they will continue to look into what they can do for the platform. Like with the recently announced Windows Edition and the Pocket Edition, if they're going to release something for Nintendo's hybrid system, they want to make sure that they'll capitalize on the platform's characteristics, bringing out the most of it. In the meanwhile, Square Enix is continuing to update Final Fantasy 15 for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and they recently released Update 1.15 and the Assassin's Festival crossover event with the Assassin's Creed franchise, which is actually a really cool event. But let's digest this for a moment. So we reported that Final Fantasy 15 is coming to Switch, and this doesn't seem to be backtracking on that. It seems to be that Final Fantasy 15 is still being tested on Nintendo Switch, and this does seem to increase the chance that the Pocket Edition is what will be coming to Switch. Now, we don't know that that's what's happening. It sounds like they tried to run the engine as is, zero optimizations, and obviously it didn't run very well, which, I mean, that's to be expected. You know, when it tested Unreal Engine 4 on the system, or tested Unity, Nintendo had already worked with the developers behind that to get those platforms to, or get those engines to run well on Switch. So of course, when they go to test it, it runs well because it's already been optimized for Switch. Their engine, Luminous engine, was never optimized for Switch. So this doesn't mean that the full version of Final Fantasy 15 cannot be heading to Switch. It just means that out the box, it's not good enough. They need to do some optimizations. That's why he clarified that he's not saying that it's going to be the Pocket Edition that comes to Switch, but he is saying, you know, that as is, it didn't run very well, and after optimizations, that might all change. So we'll see. And for those that are worried about it being the Pocket Edition, I'm going to bring up a piece by IGN, who got a chance to play the Pocket Edition of Final Fantasy 15. And here's what they say. From the second it starts, playing Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition is surreal. Aside from its chibi art style, the beginning of the game is identical to the console edition of Final Fantasy 15, from the early flash forward to saying goodbye to King Regis, and even pushing the regalia after it breaks down. as you'd expect for mobile, battles have been drastically simplified, now based on tapping instead of the mechanics you find in 15 on console. Warp strikes are performed by swiping, and you can target an enemy from afar by holding out a finger on them. Parrying and dodging comes in the form of touch-based quick-time events, and movement is simply dragging your finger to where you want. And it says the demo we played was spot on for the beginning of the game, including a visit to Hammerhead, the Pauper Prince, and the Hunter becomes the hunted story quest. It also still features camping, we ate some flame-roasted toast, and even voice acting. And it says, it basically goes on to say that outside of those mechanical changes and art style changes, that point for point, the Pocket Edition is Final Fantasy 15, at least so far, which is really interesting. That they didn't try a new direction, but it's also going to be refreshing for people that really, they just wanted a portable version of Final Fantasy 15. Now, I'm hoping that, despite the fact that the Pocket Edition actually looks like it's a really good, really high-quality port that just uses a different art style because of the power differences, I'm hoping they can get Luminous Engine to work on Nintendo Switch. And the fact that he said, Tabata specifically said they have not made any console-specific optimizations yet means that there is a chance, and that's what I'm going to cling on to right now, because as awesome as the Pocket Edition sounds for phones, I really don't want all the tapping and swiping and all that stuff to be what we get on Switch. I think as Nintendo Switch owners, we deserve something better. Now, that doesn't mean the game's going to look as good. We know it's not visually going to be as stunning as it is on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. There's a reason when they just slapped the engine on Switch, it didn't work, as well as maybe they had hoped it would. But after doing some optimizations, it's possible they can get the game running at what they find to be an acceptable frame rate and acceptable level, and we could end up getting the full version of Final Fantasy 15. What is clear, of course, is that if and when the Switch version of Final Fantasy 15 arrives, whether it is the full console version or the Pocket Edition, that we're probably not going to see it until sometime in 2018. Now, I'm hoping early 2018, because it definitely sounds like they're very early in testing how they want to approach the Switch. Again, the system that rhymes with Twitch, as they teased. But yeah, it's very interesting, and I can't wait to see what happens. Maybe you guys want to see the Pocket Edition. I know there were some comments before about some people actually hoping it's the Pocket Edition, and that's cool. I actually am pretty pumped for the Pocket Edition. I think it is one of the few mobile transitions of a console game that is done almost right. Can you believe it or not? I'm saying Square Enix did something right importing a game to phones. Crazy that those words are even coming out of my mouth right now. And that's despite the fact that Final Fantasy 15 itself is, I think, mostly just an okay game. I know there's some people that love Final Fantasy, and just like Zelda fans, it's like the greatest thing ever. But I honestly think it's just okay. I don't think it's like one of the greatest Final Fantasies ever made. But I still want to play it. I have not played Final Fantasy 15 yet myself. And if it does come to Switch, I will definitely be picking it up. I'm just hoping, personally, that it's the full console version built with the Luminous engine and that they can get it to run. Because I think a lot of these modern engines have the ability to run on Switch when they get optimized. It's just like Frostbite. EA said that Nintendo Switch can run Frostbite. It needs to be optimized. So I'm really hoping that we're going to see the same thing with Luminous engine, and we hear news about Final Fantasy 15 next year. Anyways, folks, I am just giving you an update on the Final Fantasy 15 news surrounding Nintendo Switch. As always, I am Nathaniel Ruffle-Jantz from Nintendo Prime. If you like this video, you know what to do. And if you dislike the video, hit that dislike button. Subscribe for more. And as always, folks, I will catch you in the next one.